Um, so first off, just tell us a little bit about where you're from, kind of what brought you to Dickinson, but your high school journey and finding Dickinson.
Sure. So I am from Northern Virginia, outside of DC, Fairfax.
Hmm.
I grew up playing soccer and basketball, and I really wanted to do that in college. That was important to me to like not have to give one up. I was really stubborn about that. So I was recruited by Dickinson actually to play basketball. I think they saw me at a tournament in Pennsylvania, and I went on a visit. I thought it was a really I thought it was an awesome I loved Carlisle. I liked the school. I thought it was beautiful, and I knew that playing two sports at the D3 level was a lot more feasible than anything else, and aligned with my skill set better. Um, so then I met with the soccer coach when I was there on a visit. I think on my official basketball visit, I met with the soccer coach just to kind of talk about walking onto the team. She was open to it, so that sounded promising. And then, yeah, so obviously soccer is a fall sport, and I ended up playing that first at Dickinson, loved it. It was awesome. And then I transitioned to basketball. There's like a little bit of overlap. I transitioned to basketball and then ended up deciding not to play, just because I'd had so much fun with soccer, but also the commitment. Like I was trying to look for a little bit more balance. So I didn't end up playing basketball, which is ironic. But yeah, that's pretty much how I found Dickinson. I truthfully hadn't really heard of it before that. But my best friend from high school ended up coming here too, or
Okay.
going as well. 3 kids from my high school ended up coming to Dickinson the same year, which was
Wow.
pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you come as a basketball player, you end up playing soccer for your entire careers. Talk about your time on the soccer team. What did you really like about the program and like about the opportunity to compete in the Centennial Conference?
Sure. So obviously loved the soccer team. We were a pretty tight knit group. The eight, the eight people in my class that played through the season freshman year, we ended up all staying through all 4 years. So there's eight of us as freshmen and eight of us as seniors, which was pretty special. Um, so that was really important because all of my best friends were like with me the entire time. We actually all the first one of us just got married, and I think 7 of 8 of us were able to be there at our wedding, which was super cool. But I really loved, well, our facilities are gorgeous. D Park is awesome, and I think it got finished at the end of my freshman year, and that grass field is phenomenal. So playing on that surface was super unique. And then just within the Centennial Conference, like there's a lot of rivalries, there's a lot of good competition.
Hmm.
Um, and personally, I just liked seeing the other schools. I liked traveling there. But yeah, I mean, I liked competing on a team that um, was really united and that we had fun together and we were in it together. And, Dickinson's such a community that I think it was a pretty unique experience.
Hmm. You talked about, the facilities, how great Dickinson Park was or is really, and the opportunity to compete down there. Talk just about your experience as a student athlete here at Dickinson between classes and living on campus, maybe living off campus as a senior, and then being able to have these exceptional facilities for a Division III institution.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken for me to see a lot of other facilities to realize how good we had it. Particularly as a D3 institution, the new gym is really high standard. Like that's incredible. And I think the fact that we had a weight room dedicated to students at Biddle was super unique as well. I don't know of any other D3 schools that have that. Um, and our facilities outmatch a lot of the D1 schools facilities that I've seen. Um, but yeah, I think it just all made it a lot easier to be successful. You could like the climb was super close, and then we obviously had to kind of, I mean, commute was like 0.5 miles out to D Park, but yeah, I think it just helped us kind of be more well-rounded. And then classes, I mean, they just kind of work around your schedule. Like we trained pretty much the same time every day, and being D3, like they're flexible. If you had to miss something for class, like come late from a lab, which is kind of unavoidable, that you weren't punished for it in any way. Professors followed along with our season. I would get pretty roasted in my French class every day if we lost, which was something to consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are really engaged in the community, which is super nice too.
Yeah. So what did you major in while you were here, and what did you want to do after you were finished your time here at Dickinson?
So my major was international business and management. I had minors in French and economics. Um, I wanted, I think, to get into marketing or advertising was the initial goal.
Hmm.
And then I kind of got sidetracked by a really cool opportunity my senior year to go work for US Soccer and do like sports operations basically. And I'm actually getting my MBA now. So I'm getting back on the business track 4 years later.
Hmm.
Just to kind of fine tune it. But yeah, that was the initial goal. And then ended up in the sports op world, which I hadn't even really considered, but has been an incredible journey. And there are so many jobs in athletics that I didn't even, I mean, college and just in the greater sport realm that I hadn't even considered
Hmm.
that are awesome because they keep me engaged with soccer, which has been obviously a lifelong passion. And they pay me, which is, an added bonus.
Yeah, even better. So how did you even come about that opportunity to work for US Soccer? And you call it getting sidetracked, but sometimes when you're least expecting it, these great opportunities do come along. How did you fall into that opportunity, and what did you love about it that kept you in the field?
Yeah, so I had a friend of a friend who was a pretty well-known coach with U.S. Soccer, and I'd kind of loosely known her growing up. I think she um, probably knew of me more just because I was a distracted kid playing a lot of sports, but she kind of kept up, and then she reached out my senior year, and she asked if I wanted to get involved as a coordinator for U.S. Soccer. Um, in a per diem role. So it wasn't a full-time job or anything, but it was, international travel. It was working with the youth national teams. It was soccer all the time. And I remember I had to decide between that and then a paid internship in DC. And it was not a very hard choice. I knew that this was a kind of a rare opportunity. So yeah, my role was as a coordinator with US Soccer. So there's basically like the full national teams, and then there's the youth teams
Mhm.
from U14 through U23 on the men's and women's side. And in a normal year, they train about once a month and all over the world. And so my job was to kind of plan those camps and then go and be on the ground. And so every day you're getting these kids to training and you're watching like the best 14-year-old girls in the country play soccer, which
Yep.
is remarkable. And working with some incredible coaches. And so I still do that in the off season. But I did it full time for about a year and got to travel to some cool places and meet some awesome people. Got to work with the full national team at a tournament. So yeah, I mean, it's been such a ride. So cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And now, so you went from there, you graduated from Dickinson. You're now at Santa Clara, correct?
Correct.
So how did you get into that opportunity?
So yeah, just another connection. A woman that I worked with at US Soccer, another coordinator, had covered for the woman who used to have my job while she was on maternity leave. And so when it opened up, they initially offered it to her. She had just taken a different job, so she recommended me for it. And I knew that I wanted to kind of get west. I hadn't really spent any time in California until post grad, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't
I can
realize you
see
could
that.
just to not have weather.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew I wanted to get out here, and then that was a really perfect opportunity because it's basically the same job but with one team. I'm the director of operations for women's soccer at Santa Clara, which is cool because at Santa Clara, women's soccer is like a tier one sport.
Right.
It's like men's basketball and women's soccer. So we have the backing of the university, which is amazing,
Mhm.
and they're a competitive team. They're often in the top 10. We have made the tournament every year I've worked here, which has just been a really cool experience because we didn't make the tournament when I played undergrad. I know they did last year, Sweet 16. Watch that. It was
They
awesome.
did. Yep. That was a fun run.
It was so
That
cool.
was a really fun run for Coach Zingman and that team.
I'm so jealous, but we were watching. I know we had like a group thread with my class going about it. But yeah, so it was cool to kind of have a tournament experience too. And it's been awesome. And like I said, I'm getting my MBA as kind of a perk of being an employee. So it's been, I think, really fortuitous with everything.
Mhm. So Talk a little bit about though maybe the lessons that you learned here at Dickinson that have helped you get to where you are now as you've begun your career journey, and how it's helped you in your current position as director of women's soccer.
Sure. So I feel like the liberal arts education helps in a lot of ways because it kind of makes you spread out your classes. Because I was a business major, but I also took, Buddhism and the environment, and I took a class on plants, animal, and fungi, and I've taken classes on a bunch of random stuff, which is awesome because I feel like I can kind of talk to anybody about things, not everything, but I think that when you're working with so many different people all the time, which is kind of how US soccer works, it throws you with pretty much a new staff every single camp. Being able to connect with people, I've always found to not be as difficult as it might have been if all I knew was business. Um, and then just like the skills in business, I think apply a lot to what I'm doing, right? So there's a lot of organization, there's a lot of finances, there's a lot of different kind of managing levels because you're managing the team, but then you're kind of also managing the coaches, which are technically your boss, but you're telling them what to do all the time because you planned everything. So I think there's a lot of different leadership roles that I think I specifically remember one class at Dickinson was a seminar on leadership, and he talked specifically about managing up and managing down, and I've seen a lot of that happening.
Hmm.
And then just being a student athlete, like I know to an extent what they're going through. Like I know the grind, I know um, the sentiment of being a senior and having it be your last season. I know what it feels like to be your first year and trying to kind of integrate with a team that's established. So I think that that helps me kind of connect better with my players. Is that I know to an extent what they're going through. Um, and I've been a college kid. Like I know what happens. I know what goes
Yeah.
on. So it's been I think that definitely helps kind of bridge the gap a little.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Um, Now getting your MBA, what do you think your next step is in your career journey, and where do you see yourself going, and where do you want to be?
Great question. I'm still trying to figure that out. My goal for this year was to kind of find out, kind of do a ton of informational interviews. This is my last year of business school, so I will hopefully graduate in June. And then my goal would be to move to a different position. And then everyone at Santa Clara is always super supportive of it. Like they want me to find a great next step. So, you know, they're always offering to put me in contact with our contacts at Nike or at other universities if I wanted to stay in athletics or within the department even they would be open to that. So right now I'm just kind of doing a lot of fact finding. I've done informational interviews with people who work in sports and tech and sports agents and people who kind of have their own startups in sports. And I'm just trying to find out what I like. I think I'd like to kind of combine sports and business in a way that's just a little bit more um, sustainable. I enjoy being around athletes and working with players and the kind of people facing, athlete facing role. And then now that I have my MBA, I'm hoping it can kind of help me pivot to a slightly different industry, but I don't have the specifics of what that looks like yet. There are also zero job postings because of COVID, so I can't
Yeah.
really do as much research as I would have hoped. Um, so right now I'm just trying to focus on my classes, I guess, and informational interviewing people I know so that when jobs do start kind of coming out, I have a better idea of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, that's great. And of course, yeah, COVID's certainly made it hard on everybody. So it's definitely not easy right now. But bringing it back to Dickinson as we approach the end of our time here, what makes you proud to be an alum from Dickinson College, and why would you recommend Dickinson to future generations of people?
So I'm proud to be a Dickinson alum because of the kind of tight knit community we have. There have been a handful of times out here where I've worn Dickinson merch and people have come up to me and started talking about their niece, their nephew, their brother that went to Dickinson. And, if they were within a 4-year span of me, like I have a good chance of knowing them,
Right.
which is always pretty fun.
Such a small community.
Exactly. Or you know somebody who knows somebody and things like that I think are super unique. I like the small community aspect. I'm so proud of the sustainability they've been doing. Like, I'm so proud of the carbon neutral, the goal they reached with I've been reading a lot about their solar fields, and like the farm is obviously doing great. And I've always been really proud of that just because I think they're such a leader nationally in sustainability and the environment. And that's particularly out in California is a great talking point.
Yeah,
um,
that's a pretty good talking point out there in that state for sure.
they
anywhere on
really,
the, anywhere on the West Coast, that's actually a pretty good keynote thing to
exactly.
have in your bag.
I know they talk about other places that don't even recycle. I'm like, well, my school
Let me
recycles.
tell you about my school in Pennsylvania.
Exactly, exactly. Let me tell you about our farm.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of that. And then obviously I'm super proud of the soccer team making a Sweet 16 run. That's huge. That's what we made this year at Santa Clara. We were both in the Sweet 16s. I thought that was super fun. I'm really proud of the team and kind of what they've been doing. You know, I still follow them on social media and stuff. And then, yeah, I think liberal arts schools are really special. And I think that is something that people should always consider doing because it does give you that balanced education that kind of helps you see the world and the global perspective of Dickinson. Like my time abroad, obviously, like everyone who goes abroad was amazing. And
Right.
the fact that Dickinson is so supportive of that and most of the campus goes, I think is incredible because seeing those other cultures and stuff like that is just, I mean, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty unique place when coaches are telling their student athletes to go abroad. Where
Mm-hmm.
you hear stories of places, oh no, your coach is saying, oh no, you're not going abroad. Like you need to be here. But here it's different. The coaches encourage it and they want you to go experience the world. And I think also when you mentioned about that community, you know, you and your friends years later are still all in a group thread together talking about the current team going to the Sweet 16. And I think that really sums up, you know, this place in a nutshell when groups from and teams from the past can connect with the teams of the present, and then you guys serve as that branch for the future as well.
Yeah, and someday when we're allowed to do things together, I would love to come back for another alumni soccer game. Really enjoyed the one I went to a couple of years ago, but yeah, that's always a highlight.
Yeah, and we'll certainly welcome you guys back with open arms and that opportunity to host alumni games again. I know we're certainly itching to have you guys back on campus and have the kids back, have the alumni back, and kind of celebrate together once we're allowed to take the field again.
Definitely.
So, well, I appreciate you taking the time. You know, wish you nothing but the best of luck as you continue out there in California. And of course, anything you need, you always know that Dickinson's here for you. And we look forward to sharing your story with the Dickinson community.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I love talking about it and I like the staying connected to Dickinson any way I can. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, so do we. And we love hearing from our alumni. So we look forward to talking to you in the future. And we hope to see you guys soon.
All right, perfect. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.